Okay, so let's get into this. We've compiled a stack of sources detailing what has to be one of the most operationally demanding weather crises Australia has faced in a long time.
It really is an extraordinary situation.
Yeah, and our mission for this deep dive is to distill the key insights from this multi-state event and really focus on the logistical nightmare created by these simultaneous extreme weather systems.
The simultaneity is the defining feature, you know?
Yeah.
It's what makes this so unique. We're looking at a crisis where, well, one half of the eastern seaboard is dealing with massive infrastructure failure, even fatalities from intense storms.
Right.
And then at the very same time, sometimes in the very same region, authorities are issuing catastrophic fire warnings because of staggering heat and wind.
Exactly. So this isn't just about chronicling bad weather. It's about understanding the unique challenge this dual threat presents. I mean, you have crews needing chainsaws to fix roofs and clear fallen trees, while their counterparts are battling blazes sparked by 40-degree heat, maybe just kilometers away.
And what's immediately clear from the reports is just the sheer violence of the storms that kicked all this off, particularly across New South Wales.
Oh, absolutely.
This wasn't, just a heavy rain event. It had an immediate and tragic human cost.
It really did. The storm system proved deadly right out of the gate. We saw the tragic loss of a 76-year-old man killed by a falling tree at Glenworth Valley on the NSW Central Coast.
It just shows how quickly that kind of wind can turn a familiar environment into a hazard zone.
For sure. And then inland, in Orange, another tree fell on a car, causing multiple injuries to another man.
And if we look at the meteorological data, that's when you start to really grasp the scale of the physical destruction. The Bureau of Meteorology, the BBAM, they reported wind gusts reaching up to a shocking 119 kilometers per hour.
Wow, 119.
Yeah. To put that in context for you, that is near cyclonic intensity hitting populated areas.
And the destruction was, well, it was immediate and it was widespread. These winds didn't just knock over a few branches. They literally tore multiple roofs clean off buildings in the central west of the state.
I saw those reports.
Nevertire, which is west of Dubbo, seemed to get hit particularly hard. Reports detailed 6 different properties losing their roofs entirely.
6 properties from lightning and just the sheer force of the wind. And wall collapses at another location, too.
It's the difference between, routine storm damage and just complete structural failure.
That's right. That wind velocity, like the 111 kilometers per hour they recorded at the Trangia Research Station right at midday, that just pushes buildings past their breaking point.
And so, the moment that physical damage occurs, the system immediately cascades into an infrastructure crisis.
That is the heart of the operational problem right there.
Absolutely. When you have that level of destruction across multiple regions, the power infrastructure is always the first casualty. At least 120,000 homes in New South Wales alone were without power on Wednesday afternoon.
And that number is just massive for an inland storm event.
And we should stress, this wasn't isolated, was it?
Not at all. This severe weather complex was hitting multiple states at the same time. Tens of thousands of homes were also without power up in Queensland,
Where the government had already declared it a catastrophic event after
Yeah.
2 straight days of superstorms.
Exactly.
So the emergency response teams they were instantly stretched to their breaking point. Just to quantify the load on the New South Wales State Emergency Service, the SES, by 3:3 in the afternoon on Wednesday, they'd already received 11,145 calls for help.
That volume is staggering. For a single afternoon.
It is. And what's interesting is the concentration. Get this, 622 of those calls, so more than half, were logged in metropolitan Sydney alone.
Even though the worst of the structural damage was out in the central west.
Right. The assistant commissioner for the SES basically summed it up. He said the overwhelming majority of incidents were, and I'm quoting here, trees down, taking down power lines, and also damaging roofs.
And while crews are working around the clock, trying to restore basic services, the financial toll is just climbing and climbing.
Just as fast. The Insurance Council of Australia confirmed claims had already hit 27,800. And that number was still climbing rapidly.
27,800, that figure is the hard evidence of the scale of this.
It is. It translates directly to thousands of families and businesses needing immediate help. And in the cities, well, these power outages created widespread travel chaos in Sydney.
Right. Train delays, replacement buses on major routes, it really grinds things to a halt.
So let's connect this to the broader regional picture now. This severe weather wasn't just in NSW. Queensland was having its own catastrophic event.
A different kind of event, defined more by that intense rainfall. Brisbane really bore the brunt of a second wave of damage.
That's right, with up to 110 millimeters of rain dumped on some areas on Tuesday night alone.
And even as that deluge was happening, you have to remember, parts of Queensland were still sweltering. Temperatures were 6 to 10 degrees above the November average.
So that's just creating a profoundly unstable atmosphere.
It is. The storm risk was high, but that underlying heat wave just persisted. And even later that day, after a massive effort, almost 29,000 people were still without power in QLD. The hardest hit areas being Moreton Bay, Noosa, and the Sunshine Coast.
And the reach of this whole system, it just stretches right across the continent. If you follow the source material, you see the fingerprints of the remnants of ex-tropical cyclone Fina.
That is such a crucial detail. It shows the immense scale of this whole weather disturbance. Even though Fina was downgraded, it was still causing major issues up in northern WA.
In the Kimberley region.
Yeah.
Heavy rainfall, risk of flash flooding.
Demanding response resources in a completely different part of the country.
And we can't forget the Northern Territory, which was already in cleanup mode. Fina had been a Category 3 system when it swept through over the weekend.
Yeah, resulting in downed trees, power outages, damaged buildings. So you have a situation where the nation's emergency services all at once addressing the aftermath of a Cat 3 system, an intense rainfall event in Queensland, and these devastating windstorms in NSW.
And this is where the conversation takes that critical turn.
It really is.
Because even as every available crew is out there repairing storm-damaged roofs and power lines, the other half of this crisis, the fire threat, it isn't just emerging.
No, it's ramping up to the highest possible level.
The contrast is it's jarring. You're talking about regions that were either soaked or lashed by 119-kilometer-per-hour winds, and now they are baking.
Absolutely baking. Temperatures soaring into the 30s and 40s. Walgett, for example, reached 41 degrees Celsius.
And Bourke was forecast to pass 40, and even Sydney was forecast for 36.
And this extreme early season heat is the engine driving the fire danger. These temperatures, plus the strong winds and the lack of moisture, it prompted authorities to raise bushfire alerts to their highest levels in over 2 years.
And that's the deadly combination, isn't it? According to the NSW Rural Fire Service spokesperson, you've got strong winds, the same winds causing the storm damage, combined with high temperatures, critically low humidity, and kinder-dry vegetation. It's a cocktail that means any fire that starts fast and spreads rapidly.
And this raises a really important point about the severity of the warnings themselves. Authorities weren't just issuing general warnings. They were specifically forecasting catastrophic fire danger.
That's the highest classification there is.
Yeah.
It was forecast for the lower Central West Plains, which includes major hubs like Dubbo, Parkes, and Forbes.
The very same areas that had just been battered by storms.
Exactly. And the messaging for a catastrophic rating is, well, it's stark. You need to consider leaving fire risk areas immediately because homes are likely to be lost.
And the significance of that forecast, it really can't be overstated. The sources confirmed that no region of New South Wales had seen a catastrophic fire danger forecast since September 2023.
So this isn't a routine weather cycle.
Not at all. It's a rare and extremely dangerous set of factors demanding maximum preparedness.
And the risk wasn't just confined to those inland areas. Extreme danger warnings were also declared for millions of people, stretching right into metropolitan Sydney,
where those same dangerous wind gusts of over 90 kilometers per hour were expected, just ready to fan any spark into a full-blown conflagration.
And when the danger reaches that level, preventative action it's mandatory. We saw immediate, tangible disruption.
Like the school closures.
More than 20 public schools across central NSW were closed on Wednesday. The risk to students and staff was just too high.
And despite all those warnings and all the preparations, the danger translated into real emergencies almost immediately.
It did. We had 2 major bushfires escalate to full emergency warnings, and over 20 blazes were still uncontained by Wednesday evening.
We can even detail those specific incidents. There was a grass fire that ignited at northern Cora, right on the Victoria-NSW border.
It required residents to seek shelter immediately before fire crews could get it downgraded.
And then another serious one at the Rock Township, south of Wagga Wagga. That fire escalated rapidly to emergency levels after burning through more than 100 hectares.
Though that one, too, was later downgraded to an advice level, but only after an intensive effort. The scale of the response required is, I think, what truly defines this deep dive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the manpower involved in the fire response alone, the numbers are incredible. At 6 p.m., more than 1,000 firefighters were still actively working across New South
Like
Wales,
1,000 firefighters.
fighting 69 fires in total, with 26 of those still uncontained.
And that number, 1,000 firefighters battling 69 separate blazes, that is happening while the other half of the emergency services, the SES, the power crews, are all trying to handle 27,800 storm-related insurance claims.
And that is the ultimate resource paradox that this whole crisis highlights.
How do you do it?
Right. How do you allocate limited resources? Helicopters, heavy machinery, specialized crews, when you have simultaneous high demand for two completely opposite tasks, one needing water to clear wind damage, the other needing containment to fight fires fueled by that exact same wind.
And we have to connect this back to the constant tragic risk these professionals face. We should also note the death of veteran firefighter Peter Curtis.
Yes, who died just before this peak event on the Sunday while battling a scrub fire on the Eyre Peninsula in South Australia. The sacrifice involved in these sustained emergency responses is just constant.
And it wasn't just an eastern states crisis either.
No. Authorities were also monitoring a separate significant bushfire that had been burning in northeast Tasmania since Saturday. It was a truly national emergency, stretching resources across thousands of kilometers.
So if we take a step back and just synthesize everything we've unpacked, what's the immediate takeaway for you? You have this massive multi-state crisis, hundreds of millions in storm damage, massive power failures.
All happening at the same time as life-threatening, catastrophic fire conditions.
And all driven by the same weird combination of heat and wind.
The immediate outlook, based on the source material, it confirms this intense pressure isn't resolving quickly. The elevated fire conditions were expected to extend into Thursday.
So no relief.
No, the challenge simply shifts geographically, but the high alert status remains. The storm risk, meanwhile, was forecast to contract a bit into the northeast.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, and a final thought for you to take away as you process all this information. Think about the sheer logistical and resource complexity of managing these two events at once.
These two high-intensity natural disasters.
Exactly. The emergency services had to commit crews to repairing over 27,800 insurance claims from storm damage, so clearing trees, fixing roofs, while at the same time needing to maintain a separate force of over 1,000 firefighters just to keep 69 separate fires from spiraling completely out of control.
It forces a decision on resource allocation that really, it defines the absolute limits of preparedness when you're facing concurrent catastrophic risk across continental distances.